All right, guys, what's up? Kayak Mike here. This is the tournament preview for the Rising Sun Kayak Division. Let ooh, this new webcam's awesome, but it's a blessing and a curse. There's a lot of me going on. Holy hell. Okay. All right, here we go. Double the points, double the pay here at this final tournament. Remember, it's the best four of your six um, events that count towards the point race. We'll do a quick overview of the series standings right here. The points are accurate as of today. So here we are. Boom. Those are the point races. There's three people who can outright win the point race if they win Rising Sun. That is Ryan Bortz, Andrew Green, and Justin Johnson. The way their setup is, if they win Rising Sun, they cannot lose the point race. But the top all the way down to Jeremiah, you statistically have a way to win relatively easily the point race if you win Rising Sun and take Big Fish. Um, oh, that was another caveat. You win Rising Sun and take Big Fish. Those three are guaranteed to win the point race. If the top eight win and take Big Fish, there are mathematical ways for them to win the overall series. So if you're in this top eight, you're in the running. The double points is making this really interesting. Um, but yeah, let's just move right on. We're going to thank the sponsors. Chubby Fish Outdoors no longer exists anymore, though. So what he did was he asked me to move over the sponsorship to BCAT boards. So BCAT boards, you will notice, will be on your ID card when you get your ID card. Thank you, Monster Rod Holders, for being the mystery fish sponsor this year, and big shout out to Not Marine for being the national trail and ponying up a grand for the point race winner. We're more than likely going to pay out the top three for the point race. That'll all be judged and finalized after. Like I said, we will have unofficial results at the event, but I will go in the following week within the first 5 business days, make everything official. The only catch is the point series standings on the actual app will not be official until I get home because I have to manually go add the double points. It's the app isn't smart enough to take a single event and make everything double points for that single event. Um, you have to manually go adjust the points. So it may or may not be 100% accurate until I get home and manually adjust for double points. So I just want to give everyone that notice right there. Let's see here. Hey, what's up, Ryan? Yeah, Ryan, Facebook user, first person. Thank you for joining. Before I forget a sponsor, Adam Flegel. He's coming up the Fishy event. He is sponsoring this event. He is bringing awards for top three in Big Fish. I believe they're plaques. And next year he jumped in. He's putting awards towards every single event next year. I believe top three in Big Fish for every single event that we do. So it's going well, man. It's going real well. So let's see here. This is the next picture that popped up. Here's our boundaries. It's really simple. Everything downstream of Meldal, all the way up to upstream of Markland. And within 2 miles if you go into a tributary, you have to be 2 nautical miles away from the main channel. It's that simple. I don't care where you launch; it does not matter to me. For instance, let's say there's a launch on the Licking River around here somewhere. I think it's like right here, Fredericks Landing. This might not be legal fishing water. I don't know. I didn't measure it yet. However, you're allowed to launch here as long as you fish within 2 nautical miles of the Ohio River. I don't care where you guys launch as long as you are either fishing the Ohio River itself or you are within 2 nautical miles of the Ohio River. Um, there's a few gauges if you want to quickly take a look here, and these will roughly tell you. This is one of my favorite gauges, but this one can be hit or miss. Once every 30 days or so, this will be completely wrong. What I mean by that is you see it says 0.6 mile per hour, river stage 27.1. This gauge, the BB Riverboats gauge, is typically pulling information from a few different websites. But like once a month, it'll be like a full mile and a half off. However, these gauges, the forget what this the National Weather Service gauges, these are good. And just I can just tell you, if you're looking around 13 to 16 foot of water being let out of Meldal and Markland, you're looking at around point 0.2 to 0.6, 0.7 mile an hour current, depending on where you're at on the river. More than likely less than a half mile an hour wherever you are at. The only place that gets a little more is where it's more congested. Like downtown Cincinnati, for instance, will have slightly more current than everywhere else on the stretch because of all the bridges and stuff downtown Cincinnati. But the actual launch will probably be almost like a lake. Like right now, I'd be willing to bet without even being there, the launch is probably like a lake. So these are three great websites. If let's see if I could zoom in. You know what? I'll just put them in the chat. Let's go. So this first one, I believe, is Meldal. So this is the water flow coming from Meldal. The second one is the water flow leaving Markland. And I like to look at both because it gives me a judge of how fast they're feeding each other. And then this one, as long as it's accurate, is my favorite one because it has the temperature, it has the forecast, it has the graph like this. It has the 7-day forecast down here. I really like this one. It has a bunch of information that's typically accurate, like the weather the water visibility and all that kind of stuff. So this graph does get crapped on a lot because it's not always accurate, but I do love using this graph because when it is accurate, which it is, honestly, like 99% of the time, it's very helpful. So those are some tools for anglers for when you're researching. And let's go back to boundaries. Yeah, those are the boundaries. As far as where you can fish, so for instance, let's say you are fishing Meldal. Let's see here. Let's say you're fishing Meldal. There is a keep out sign right here, and there's a no fish zone essentially that comes across right here. You're gonna be responsible for figuring that out yourselves. If you go to the Rising Sun tournament page, a lot of times they will post what the boundaries are. But yeah, there's a no fish zone right here. Boats aren't allowed to go up it. So honestly, if you see boats up at Meldal and they're up to a certain point, don't go past those boats. If you're caught in the no fish zone, you will be disqualified. So I don't have that picture right off the top of my hand, but it's not hard to get if you just go to the Rising Sun webpage. Not webpage, the Rising Sun Facebook page. And then for the other side, Markland, same thing. There's a no fish zone around here somewhere. Don't quote me where. You're not allowed to fish below the dam of Markland. So this is our cutoff. So I'm not even worried about where you're not allowed to fish here. But there's a keep out zone right here somewhere. Keep that in mind. If you do end up fishing down here, you cannot fish wherever the keep out. And the sign's huge. Like you're not going to sneak up on this sign. If you're fishing in the no fish zone, it's on you. Like you screwed up. So it's hard to miss. So let's keep going. Let's see, pre-fishing. The only pre-fishing rule I'm having, and it's not even a rule, I'm just asking if you're pre-fishing Saturday, if you could not have lines in between 8 and 9 a.m., I would really appreciate it. We are tag teaming with the Rising Sun Boat Tournament for this event, and their launch is at 8 a.m. on day one. So if you're out there pre-fishing day one, I am asking if you could just not have lines in the water from 8 to 9 a.m. Again, that's not a rule. But we are, imagine if this was vice versa. Imagine if we were having our tournament on Saturday and they were having a tournament on Sunday. You wouldn't want someone in your spot, not your spot, but in a spot that you plan on fishing with lines in already in the same exact event when you're going to go fish it. Now, there's going to be 150 to 200 boats in the boat division. Second day, there's normally about 100, if that. A lot of them don't come back, get skunked, etc. But guys, look, our boundaries is 93 miles long. There's been some concern about the boat tournament and all the numbers. I'm telling you right now, our boundaries alone are 93 miles long. The boat boundaries are unlimited. As long as you can get to it from Rising Sun, you can legally fish it. Guys, there's going to be boats on like 150 miles of this river amongst 150 to 200 boats. The number sounds overwhelming, 150, 200 boats. It's really not. I've fished this event and I've been part of this event the last couple of years. You don't have 6, 7, 8, 9 boats sitting in one spot unless you're under a dam. That's a different story though. But you don't. And also, if any boat guys are watching this, like scared, like, oh my god, what if a kayaker's in my my spot? Well, we have a 93-mile boundary. You have an unlimited boundary. If someone's in your spot and you can't figure out another place to fish in 93 miles, then that's on you. I'm sorry, that's on you. The kayak division ain't going nowhere. The kayak division is just going to be growing as as time goes on. We're just going to grow, and we want to grow alongside the boat division. Um, so we're not going to be fighting with the boat division for stuff, but we want to grow together. So yeah, it again, don't worry about other people being in your spot, etc. There's a couple bends I know there's going to be boats sitting in that I know people have already pre-fished, but God, just share the space. It's and there's no hole that I could think of where there's going to be like 5 guys sitting in a 20-foot wide hole. Most holes you can get around and fish and work with each other, no matter what division you're in. So I wanted to put that. That was a quite a legitimate fear from most anglers in the kayak world and boat world. So you don't really have to worry about that. And especially, honestly, the conditions. It's going to be a lot of suspend drifting and dragging. There's going to be a lot of movement fishing. I'd be willing to bet, unless you're under a dam, there's going to be little to no anchor fishing amongst most boats. If dragging's possible, dragging is a very productive way of fishing. So I would put money on it. The majority of boaters are going to be dragging anyway. That's not me saying that's the best way to fish or only way to fish, but if you're worried about a spot being available, there's a very high likelihood it'll be movement fishing from both sides, kayak and boat division, both days. So you don't really necessarily have to worry about people just sitting in spots. So I just wanted to like calm everyone's nerves on that. I get it, 150 boats sounds a lot, but guys, 93 miles of boundaries for us alone. That's 2 boats a mile. Like that's how wide of a boundary that is. So, all right, let's move on. We'll just start going down this. If you're doing research, I just want to give you some heads up. Navionics is essentially useless on the Ohio River. None of us on the local side, none of us use it. Chips and cards are essentially completely useless. So right now on this, there's 3 really big defined 50-foot holes in this screenshot right here. And the deepest that this goes is 41 foot, 43 foot, and they're not even where the holes are. Like this isn't even remotely close. And this is like a good picture of what the Navionics looks like throughout the entire Ohio River. It's decent for banks. Like if you're trying to find a ledge, like which side of the river has a better ledge, if you plan on like working a ledge, Navionics is okay for finding decent ledges off the bank. So like if you were a bank fisherman, Navionics isn't a bad tool to use. Like if you want to, fish a deeper ledge, like this is relatively accurate here. This is a steeper ledge at this point in the river. This is not as big of a ledge at this point in the river. But I'm also going to be honest, this right here is 35, 40 foot channel. Like this is a 35, 40 foot channel and it's showing 22 foot. And it's not because the river's up or down. It's just Navionics just sucks. However, it is a slow decline over here, and it's a much more rapid decline over here. So it's decent for finding the ledges off the banks, completely useless for your studying. The only way to really prepare for this tournament well is to physically pre-fish it, do some research, watch some YouTube videos, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, because this tournament, guys, it's a good national event because it's going to force you to be a good angler. The Ohio River is not loaded with big fish. The Ohio River has been, savaged by commercial fishing. So you're going to have to work twice as hard for smaller fish. So this is truly a great place to have a national event because it's going to force the best fisherman's going to win. There's a little chance of someone getting lucky and winning this event. Let's see here. We already went over boundaries. Boundaries are real simple. Rules are standard. Entry fees $150. Everyone knows that. $2,000 minimum the first, $400 minimum the big fish. The check-in is under the shelter along the river at the following address. Let me see here. I'm going to pull this up for you guys right now. If anyone has any questions, just go ahead and pop them in. I am staring at the chat. So this will be the check-in, guys, right here. This is the check-in area. Let me zoom out a little bit. Right here is a great place for kayaks to launch. So on day 2, guys, there will be a stretch of river. It's from about, and this is just roughly, it's from about right here to about right here. The boats are not allowed to fish. Boats are not allowed to fish where the fish were released the day before. Kayakers can fish anywhere they want. It's kind of set up perfect. The boats tournament will be releasing about 4,000 pounds worth of fish in this general area the day before. And day 2, you're going to have access to where 4,000 pounds of fish were just released, right, that you can fish. It's kind of a perfect storm. And if any, before anyone gets upset in the boat world, oh, you're fishing on top of already fish for fish, guys, look, a lot of those fish have already left this half-mile stretch. Like, a lot of those fish are getting targeted by boat anglers anyway. Also, we catch and release immediately. There's no harm to our fish. We catch the fish, measure the fish, release the fish. So there's very little stress put on the fish in our division. So you don't really have to worry about that. Kayak guys, you can launch here. Parking, the majority of the time, you'll see parking is all along these streets. Just don't park anyone's parking lot. They have opened up this grassy area for parking. You'll see trailers parked in here. This is your typical parking lot. You can park in here. I believe you can park in this grassy area. I believe just look for other boats being parked there first. But yeah, if you have any questions on parking as well, me, Vincent Dosky, Stephen Hannon will probably be up here in the check-in area. The check-in area will be this pavilion right here. The boats all launch from this general area, and this is where our check-in is. Our check-in's going to be, you have to be on foot or in the water and be visible from this pavilion weigh-in area. So the weigh-ins will be going on right here. So if you come back, like our check-out time is 5 p.m., if you're visible from the weigh-in area by 5 p.m., whether you're sitting in your kayak or on foot, you're fine. You just have to be visible to me from the weigh-in area by 5 p.m. Let's go back to the tournament itself. So yeah, Saturday night pickup. The packet pickup is from when the weigh-ins end until 8 p.m. Weigh-ins typically end about 6 p.m. I host their live weigh-ins, so I'll be running their live weigh-ins probably on this YouTube. So once they end through 8 p.m., that's when the packet pickup will be done. Registration cutoff for our event is Saturday night at 8 p.m. That I'm not doing any exceptions to. If you need to check in the morning of, it'll be at that shelter starting at 5 a.m. and that'll end at 6:45 a.m. Trailing's legal. No rods of any kind are allowed to be in legal fishing waters between midnight and 8 a.m. If you want to go to a pond and try and catch bluegill and stuff, that's perfectly fine. Your measuring device must be present at the check-in. Lines in for us 8 a.m., lines out 4 p.m. You must be back to the check-in by 5. Fish submitted by 6. Let's see here. If you return, yep, it's your responsibility to get the photos uploaded ASAP once you return. But yeah, I'm making the uploads till 6 p.m. Challenges are allowed to happen until 7. We already went over the boundaries. Remember, guys, have your GPS and timestamp turned on. And everything else is just kind of things that we've gone over. Let me go over something here really quick too. Payout structures. I have it on my work computer. Sorry, guys, I'm at home. Bait. So bait and licenses. So let's take a look-see here. You guys see this? This is me this past weekend. This is the DNR. So there is a chance you'll get pulled over by the DNR. A legitimate chance. Now they're not. This is the first time I've been pulled over by the DNR in the 8 years that I've been fishing here. First time. So, but it is a chance. They will be out there during this tournament. So they might check you. At that specific check, they only ask for my license. I can't confirm or deny how deep they're going to do a check on you. Kayak guys, I'm sure they just care about you having your license on you. Here's the rules on licenses, and it gets a little convoluted. So in our scene, you can run unlimited rods. I don't care as long as you are following your state laws. Ohio and Indiana are typically identical laws. Typically, there's the things that matter are typically the same. Game fish can be used as bait as long as legally caught on rod and reel. You can only use 3 rods per person. Forage fish can be used as bait, 5-foot cast net. But then you have the Kentucky law. Kentucky law is unlimited rods and reels. Forage fish can be used for bait. Game fish cannot be used for bait. So if you want to run a mixture of unlimited rods and game fish for bait, you are going to have to purchase the license for both sides of the river. If you don't care about using game fish for bait, then you can just buy a Kentucky license and you're fine. But remember, if you go up a back creek of a state and you don't have that license, you're fishing illegally. If you go back up a back creek of the state, you have to abide by those rules. You are no longer at the reciprocity of the Ohio River. So if you have Kentucky and Indiana and you go up a creek in Indiana, you now have to pull down to 3 rods. You can only use 3 rods from your kayak. If you go into a back creek in Kentucky and you have game fish as bait, you no longer can use your game fish as bait. Technically, you're not even allowed to have it possessed, cut up in your kayak, technically. So if you get pulled over, I mean, that's a potential, fine you can get. You can only use skipjack, shad, bluegill once you're up in Kentucky, but the trade-off, you can use unlimited rods. So my suggestion to anglers is, if you don't want to waste a lot of money on a lot of licenses, get the Kentucky license, only fish the main channel, only fish Kentucky back creeks, don't use game fish for bait. That's my suggestion. If you want to keep it nice and simple, I'm telling you right now, skipjack's a great bait, moon eye's a great bait, shad, decent bait. I don't suggest shad this time of year, but sometimes that's the only thing you can get. So those 3 baits are all really good baits for this time of year. All 3 of those are legal in Kentucky. And fishing back creeks, honestly, is a crapshoot this time of year, guys. I don't really see a reason why anyone would fish a back creek for this tournament. Maybe you have some kind of little honey hole you're aware of, which good for you, but most of the time, back creeks are dead. So my suggestion would be, if you want to keep it simple, get a Kentucky license. That way you don't have to worry about your rods. Don't use game fish for bait. Don't fish in Indiana or Ohio back creeks if you only have a Kentucky license. That's my suggestion. But I mean, like me, I get my Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana license every single year, like clockwork. That way I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I just have to remember what I'm doing if I'm in the back creek of that certain state. So if you have any more questions on that, let me know. As far as inches on fish, on game fish stuff, you're responsible for that research. I'll let you do that. And now let's go to the Navionics research, where we bust every single boater's secret spot on the Ohio River. All right, you guys ready? I'm just kidding. There were a million boaters that messaged me and Hannon pissed off earlier in the year when I said we were doing these tournament previews and stuff, that they thought we were going to go down and nitpick at all these great fishing spots on the Ohio River. That's not the point of this, guys. You're still responsible for your own studying. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are upset that we're not doing this, that we're all like, before the start, they were so certain that Kayak Mike's going to, show all these spots to fish. Like, relax, guys. Relax. This is just a virtual captain's meeting. So, yeah, that's that. Let me see if there's anything else. Licenses, available bait, payout structure. I don't think there's anything else we really have to go over. Preston, yeah, go grab her yogurt. Yep, there's my little girl. Say hi. Wave him. Hi. They can't see you. She's adorable. Yeah, this new camera is great and terrible. It's great because it's a good camera, but it's terrible because it's good. So, are there any questions? Any questions? Boat launches, guys. This is what I suggest for boat launches. So check this out. Wherever you plan on staying, roughly. Oh, and hotels and stuff. There's no deals going on for anybody. So, I found out getting deals on hotels is almost impossible for these fishing tournaments. I've tried every single tournament, and I can't even get any. So this is my suggestion. Wherever you plan on fishing or pre-fishing, zoom in on that general area and then just type in boat ramps near me. So, for instance, if I want to launch downtown, boat ramps near downtown Cincinnati. And that's about it. I mean, that's about it. There might be one more here that isn't showing, but boat ramps on the Ohio River are pretty scarce. You got Schmidt over here. You got Public Landing right here. Another way to find some boat ramps is if you just zoom in on the Ohio River. So like Public Landing, you can't really tell this is a boat ramp, but it is. If you just zoom in on the Ohio River and just go down the stream, you can typically find some places that look like boat ramps. This looks like one, but it's not. We're gonna find one here in 1 second. Where is it? So boom, Riverside Boat Launch. There's another boat launch right there. Boom. So that's another way to find boat ramps is if you just kind of like work your way down, and you'll find boat ramps here and there. A lot of the back creeks will have boat ramps. Let me see if there's a back creek coming up here that has a boat ramp that I've launched out of. One of these back here might be public and pay, but again, that's part of the research of a fishing tournament, guys, is figuring out where you can and cannot launch from. So yeah, do your research on your boat ramps. But yeah, any questions on boat ramps, you can send me specific ones. I'll give you my best Rick's bait or boat. Oh, I thought it said bait shop. I'm like, a bait shop I'm unaware of. I'll give you my best information on if I know if it's a public launch or not. And yeah, you have to fish public launches. Paying does not make it private. Paying just, I don't mind paying for a boat launch. Most boat launches around here you do have to pay for. So no, Ryan, you cannot skip check-in, and you can and you cannot get 200 points. You do not collect 200 for pass and go. So any questions? Any questions? I'm going to leave it open here for a couple more minutes or seconds if there's any questions. If there are no questions, I'm going to head up the Bass Pro because I just got a Lowrance fish finder and I need the transducer cable that connects the transducer to the 24-volt trolling motor. Yeah, trolling motor people. That needs to be more simple. Things need to just plug in. Like, come on. Things should just plug in. This NEMA system, all the So, all right, Kayak Mike out of here. Any questions, hit me up. Best of luck this weekend, anglers. I can't wait to see you guys. And yeah, thank you very much, Hannon, for taking a taking a pretty big risk and stepping out of your comfort zone and letting me run the kayak division. Technically, guys, this is the kayak division of Rising Sun. That was the agreement I made with Hannon, that because at the time we didn't have insurance or anything like that, and it's easier for him to pitch to the city to allow us to do this if it's under his umbrella. So technically, it's the kayak division, kind of how we've done at Hoover and stuff. We've been the kayak division of other events to be able to get on the water at the same time. So, if you guys see Stephen Hannon, thank him as well for allowing us to have our kayak division there. It's really neat and pretty historic. It's a pretty historic event. It's one of the first big catfishing tournaments ever had. And the nickname is the granddaddy of them all. I'm not claiming it's the first, but it's one of the first, and it's one of the biggest ones in the country every year. So it's really neat to be able to be part of that. So thank you, Hannon. And yeah, Kayak Mike out of here.